Here's a question I want you to sit with for just a moment. When you think about what you miss most about your career, and I know many of you do miss it even if you'd never say it out loud, what is it exactly that you miss? Is it the work itself? The actual tasks and projects? Or is it something else? In my experience working with retired professionals, the answer is almost always something else. And once you understand what that something else actually is, once you can name it precisely, everything changes. Because here's the truth. Your career was giving you 6 things that had nothing to do with money. And when the career ended, all 6 of them disappeared at once. Today, I'm going to name all 6. I'm going to explain exactly what each one was doing for you. And I'm going to show you why understanding this is the most important first step in building a retirement that actually feels like a life. My name is Travis, and I'm Bill Bergfeld's personal assistant. This is the second video in the Rebirth of Retirement series. Let's get into it. Before I walk you through the 6 needs, I want to give you a little context because this isn't just a list. It's a framework that psychologists who study occupational identity have been developing for decades. When researchers study what happens to people psychologically after they retire, they consistently find the same pattern. The people who struggle most are not the ones who were unhappy in their careers. They're the ones who were most engaged, most invested, most identified with their work. In other words, the people who were best at their jobs are often the ones who have the hardest time leaving them. Why? Because for highly engaged professionals, the career wasn't just a job. It was a psychological ecosystem, a complete environment that met multiple deep human needs simultaneously, every single day without you ever having to think about it. When that ecosystem disappears overnight, the impact is not just inconvenience. It's disorientation. It's grief. It's the quiet, persistent feeling that something essential is missing, even when everything on paper looks fine. The 6 needs I'm about to share with you are the 6 things that ecosystem was providing. And once you know what they are, you can begin deliberately and intentionally to build new sources for each one. That's the work. That's the path forward. And it starts here. Need number 1. Structure and time organization. The first thing your career was giving you is the one that surprises people most when I name it, because it sounds so simple. Structure. Your career gave every hour of your day a purpose. Meetings at 9. Project deadline on Friday. A lunch with a client on Wednesday. These weren't just appointments. They were the architecture of your time. A framework that organized your days into meaningful units and gave you a clear answer to the question, what am I doing today? For most high achievers, this structure was so deeply embedded that it was invisible. You didn't notice it any more than a fish notices water, until the water was gone. Here's what the research tells us about unstructured time. It is not experienced as freedom by most driven people. It is experienced as anxiety. A study published in the Journal of Occupational Health Psychology found that the loss of time structure was one of the strongest predictors of psychological distress in the first year of retirement, stronger even than financial concerns for many participants. This is not a character flaw. It is a neurological reality. Our brains are pattern-seeking, goal-oriented systems. When the external structure disappears, the brain doesn't automatically relax. It searches for a new pattern, and if it doesn't find one, it generates anxiety to motivate the search. The solution is not to recreate the frantic pace of your career. It is to design a new structure, one that is intentional, flexible, and built around what matters most to you now. We'll talk about exactly how to do that. But first, let's name the other 5 needs. Need number 2, social connection and belonging. The second thing your career was giving you is one that almost everyone underestimates until it's gone. Community. The workplace gave you a built-in social world. Colleagues you saw every day. Teams you belonged to. Clients who valued your relationship. A professional network that connected you to hundreds of people who shared your field, your language, and your frame of reference. These relationships weren't always deep. Some of them were purely professional, but they were daily. And that daily social contact was meeting one of the most fundamental human needs, the need to belong. Here's something I hear from retired professionals more than almost anything else. I didn't realize how much of my social life was tied to work until it was gone. The research on this is striking. A study from the Harvard Study of Adult Development, one of the longest-running studies of human well-being in history, found that the quality and frequency of social connection is the single strongest predictor of health, happiness, and longevity in later life. More than wealth, more than physical health, more than almost any other factor. When your career ends, that built-in social world doesn't automatically transfer. The colleagues who were part of your daily life often drift away, not out of indifference, but because the shared context that held the relationship together is gone. Building intentional social connection in retirement is not optional. It is one of the most important investments you can make in your own well-being. And it starts with recognizing that this need is real, legitimate, and worth prioritizing. Need number 3, status and social identity. The third need is the one that people are often most reluctant to admit, because in our culture, caring about status is supposed to be shallow. But here's the truth. Status is not about ego. It is about belonging and recognition, two of the most fundamental human needs. Your title, your organization, and your professional accomplishments gave you a clear social position. They answered the question, "Who are you?" in a way that commanded respect and recognition. When someone asked what you did at a dinner party, you had an answer that communicated not just your role, but your value, your expertise, and your place in the world. When that title disappears, the question, "Who are you?" doesn't go away. It just becomes much harder to answer. Many retired professionals describe a subtle but persistent sense of social invisibility, the feeling that they have somehow become less interesting, less relevant, less worth paying attention to. This is not paranoia. It is the real social consequence of losing a status marker that our culture values highly. The work of rebuilding your social identity is not about chasing status for its own sake. It is about finding a new and authentic answer to the question, "Who are you?" One that is grounded in your values and your character rather than your former title. That answer exists. We just have to find it. Need number 4, purpose and contribution. Purpose. Your work gave you a reason to matter. Problems needed your expertise. People depended on your judgment. Your presence made a difference, and that sense of contribution, that feeling of being genuinely needed, is one of the deepest sources of human meaning. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor who founded logotherapy, argued that the primary human motivation is not pleasure or power, but meaning. And for most high-achieving professionals, their career was the primary vehicle for meaning in their adult lives. When that vehicle disappears, the meaning doesn't automatically transfer. And the absence of meaning is not a minor inconvenience. It is one of the most painful human experiences there is. I want to be honest with you about something. The people who struggle most in retirement are not the ones who are bored. They are the ones who feel purposeless, who wake up in the morning and cannot answer the question, "Why does it matter that I get out of bed today?" That question deserves a real answer. Not a platitude, not a bucket list, a real, grounded, personally meaningful answer. And that answer is available to you. It just requires intentional work to find it. The good news is that the work is exactly what this channel and the Identity Blueprint course is designed to help you do. Need number 5, achievement and competence. The fifth need is one that high achievers feel acutely but often don't recognize as a need. Achievement. Every completed project, every promotion, every solved problem delivered a neurological reward, a release of dopamine that created the subjective experience of competence and progress. This wasn't just satisfaction. It was neurological fuel. Kept your sense of capability alive and active, day after day, year after year. In retirement, that stream of achievement can go quiet. And the silence is louder than most people expect. Here's what the neuroscience tells us. The brain's reward system does not retire. It continues to seek the dopamine hit of achievement and progress regardless of whether you have a job title or a performance review. When that need goes unmet, the result is not contentment. It is restlessness, irritability, and a persistent sense of something missing. The solution is not to recreate the competitive pressure of your career. It is to find new forms of challenge and mastery, activities that stretch your capabilities, reward your effort, and give you the experience of getting better at something that matters to you. This is one of the reasons that the most fulfilled retirees I know are always learning something new. Not because they have to, because their brains need it. Need number 6, personal identity and narrative. The sixth need is the one that ties all the others together. Narrative. Your career gave you a story about who you are. I am a doctor. I am an engineer. I am a teacher. I am a leader. These were not just job descriptions. They were the organizing narrative of your entire adult life, the through line that connected your past to your present and gave your future a direction. When the career ends, that narrative loses its organizing center. And without a narrative, identity becomes fragmented. You know what you were. You're not sure what you are. And you can't quite see what you're becoming. This is the deepest work of the identity blueprint. Not just identifying your values and your strengths, though that matters enormously, but constructing a new narrative. A new story about who you are, what you stand for, and what you are here to do. And here is what I want you to know. That story is not starting from scratch. It is built from everything you have already lived, every experience, every lesson, every relationship, every challenge you overcame. Your story is richer than you know. It just needs a new chapter. The 6 things your career was giving you: structure, social connection, status, purpose, achievement, and narrative. These are not luxuries. They are fundamental human needs. And when your career ended, all 6 of them lost their primary source simultaneously. That is not a small thing. That is a seismic shift in your psychological ecosystem. And the fact that you've been struggling, if you have been struggling, is not a sign of weakness. It is the entirely predictable response to a profound and largely unacknowledged loss. But here is what I want you to hold on to. Every single one of these needs can be met again. Not by going back to work, not by recreating your career in a different form, but by designing, deliberately and with intention, a retirement life that addresses each of these needs in ways that are often more fulfilling, more authentic, and more deeply satisfying than your career ever was. That is the work of the identity blueprint, and it is absolutely available to you. If you want to go deeper on this, if you want the full framework, the exercises, and the step-by-step process for rebuilding your identity after retirement, the Identity Blueprint course is waiting for you at rebirthofretirement.com. And if you're not ready for the full course, start with our free guide, Beyond the Title, also at rebirthofretirement.com. Before you go, I want to ask you something. Which of these 6 needs feels most absent for you right now? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and your answer might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. I'll see you in the next video.